Good Saturday morning and welcome to Flashpoint Healthcare Solutions Radio Show with Steve Glick, Chief Administrator over at Chamber Insurance Trust. I'm Gary Byron. So happy to have you along with us this morning. Steve, good morning. How you been, buddy?
Feeling great. Great.
That's good.
And I'm really honored to have this advisor on the show today.
Yeah.
Mary Ellen Dombrowski.
Yeah,
what a great person.
We'll get into that in just a moment. I wanted to recap your week, though. What happened during the week? How's Chamber Insurance Trust going? And
a lot of need.
Did the weather play a factor in was it in any obstacles for you in your duties and responsibilities throughout the week for Chamber Insurance?
Yes and no.
Okay.
But actually, the bad weather actually created other challenges. People had the time to think about issues, and guess who they call?
Well, of course, the Ghostbusters. You know, they call Chamber Busters.
Right.
Mr. Glick himself.
But we're doing things, and we're really looking at issues that really are so important. And again, we will cover some of these today and in future meetings. But healthcare is in a collision course right now in the state of Connecticut. The affordability of it is one challenge. And the other most important challenge is, what do you buy and use as a reserve or a safety net for health insurance? Things are different today. People need to know other options. They need to integrate these into their thoughts when they look at a solution for themselves. But believe it or not, health insurance could be put in a lower rate structure than it is today. It's a great thing if you know the system.
How often should someone, or even a company, large or small, be reviewing their health benefits for their employees?
Every year.
Yeah.
Because legislation is changing. New ideas, new products are put on the market. But it should not be done, lightly. There should be some advisor with some serious knowledge to help that person. We're saving thousands and thousands of dollars.
So it should be shopped every year as well.
Yes.
So you could, over a 5-year period, theoretically, you could have 5 different insurance companies that handle.
You may have the same insurance company or the same product, but designed differently.
Oh, okay.
Taking advantage of tax laws and other things that have pop up each other and every year. This is a major time in this era right now for understanding the new tax laws, or the tax laws as they are. If you don't interpret them, you're hurting yourself and your employees.
That's a great point. Let's talk about our special guest this morning. Go ahead.
Well, I'm honored. She's been working, and I've been using her advice for many, many years. Unfortunately, she'll be retiring in June, but I've had the honor of working with her for many, many years. She is one of the top advisors from the chamber world, and a great person. And she loves to put on an Apple Fest every year in Glastonbury.
They weren't able to do that, though, last year. I think that 2 years ago, I had her on in the morning show. At the time, I was co-hosting with Brad Davis. I would have had her on this past year, but like I just referenced, due to the COVID really screwed everything up. Let's bring her on. She is the president of the Connecticut Valley Chamber. I believe that includes Glastonbury and East Hartford. Let's welcome Mary Ellen Dombrowski. Mary Ellen, good morning.
Good morning. And it's the Connecticut River Valley Chamber, and we're Glastonbury, East Hartford, and Marlborough. Marlborough came into our fold a couple of years ago.
All right. So I got to write this down. That's not on my sheet here. Marlborough, Glastonbury, and
East Hartford.
Well, very nice.
Not bad having Marlborough country.
We have members from all over the state. There's no precluding. Sometimes businesses don't understand they can join any chamber of their choice, but we always recommend you stick in your hometown first and then go out after that.
That makes a lot of sense. Tell me a little bit about the chamber pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, what kind of events would you put on? What was the activities? What was your membership like? And I guess the overall pizzazz of the Connecticut River Valley Chamber.
We were flying high. We had 5 full-time staff.
Oh, wow.
We have a very strong leadership board of directors. We had a very strong ambassadors team. We put on a major event every other month, including October in 2019. 2 years ago, it was our 45th. Last year, I'm not sure if it's the 46th or if this is the 46th this year. That's still up for grabs. But 23,000 people over the weekend after Columbus Day. And we had 28 bands. We had a 5K road race with 1,000 runners, 15 food trucks, and about 125 crafters, and a big amusement ride. Midway. So it was a huge. It's the largest regional event at the end of the season, and it's the largest event in Glastonbury. So with 300 volunteers, so it's a really regional and a community-centric event. So sadly, that didn't happen last year. And unfortunately, now at this point, we're down to, I at one point was by myself, so the other 4 left on their own accord, which was great. They all have full-time jobs, and the attrition timing was perfect. So we're in very, very good shape. We're really, last Monday I hired a part-time person. So we've shifted from being a staff-driven organization to a member-driven organization. I have leaders that have stood up magnanimously. I can't even tell you what these volunteer leaders have taken on, because they believe in the mission and the purpose of the chamber.
Wow.
So it's a hard time. People don't realize that chambers of commerce are nonprofit organizations. And unfortunately, the first round of PPP, we didn't qualify.
Oh.
None of the chambers qualified because we're 501c.
Nonprofit status, yeah. You had mentioned 4 employees. Did you replace those employees through attrition or no? No. Actually, 2 of them stayed on very minimally, like 6 or 7 hours a week, doing very minimal, keeping things going. And one person I just brought on at a part-time capacity, which is going to grow. As soon as the events come back and we generate the income from that, we'll be growing the staff back again. Yeah, I have a good feeling about maybe not in the immediate winter season, but I believe it'll start ramping up in the spring, and really by the end of summer we could see things somewhat back to normal and having. I can tell you, I mean, even you're looking at the Big E, and they plan on running full force this year, and I talked to some of the other people who are in the fair industry and in that organization, and it sounds like they're going to be up and running this year as well. So listen, it's not all doom and gloom. So I'm glad to hear the Apple Fest will be right back in front and center, as it should be.
Well, I don't think it'll be back to the capacity it was. We have to build up consumer confidence after we're all through this and the vaccinations are done, and it's going to take a while. And I think it'll probably, what we actually did last year is we called it segments. And because we couldn't have in-person events, we sold the apple pies that we always sell at the festival, and we did 2 virtual road races. And we had what we call the Harvest Pub at Hops on the Hill, a brewery outdoors in Glastonbury. So we did it slices, little pieces of the Apple Fest, and I wouldn't be surprised if it came back partially that way again this year until we can really have a large event. It's fine. We're doing fine, and we've shifted and evolved just like every other small business.
And that's going to lead into my next question, Mary Ellen. Since the COVID, have you lost any members? How has it impacted your chamber?
Oh, sure. We've lost members. The restaurants, obviously, and retailers have all suffered financially. So many have said they're just pausing their membership until they recover financially. And I will tell you that since last March, we've brought in over 40 new members. So it's people. There's real value, and people recognize that coming together and getting displays online and exposure through social media and having the opportunity to come to lead groups and CEO roundtables are very beneficial at this time.
I've got to say, and I'm really tipping my hat to you over here because, I mean, at a time when, as you alluded to, and when most chambers are losing memberships, or members, I should say, due to either them closing or a temporary suspension, and just the uncertainty overall in our climate, business climate right now. You were able to recruit 40 new members during this time, huh? Wow.
Well, that's not a net growth.
No, I realize that, but still, recruiting in this economic setting is impressive as it is, you know.
Well, yeah, and when you have strong leadership and people see that you're helping other businesses, it's a good reason to join.
Yeah. How are you able to keep them engaged?
Well, we really are. I call ourselves a convening chamber. What we do best is bring people together to build trusting relationships that result in good, confident business referrals. So we would have 80 people at a monthly business after hours regularly every month. And all of our programs and events were extremely well attended. Like I said, we had a major one every other month between a golf tournament or a road race or music series, all large events included. So we had to shift on a dime just like everybody else and go virtual. So on March 14th, the 5 of us closed the door and went home and started working from home. So again, the dynamic leaders that we have, we put together virtual leads exchange groups, and we're revamping our ambassador. Their ambassadors are a membership committee, and basically they used to be responsible. They would be assigned a member that they would talk to 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
So it's kind of a buddy system, if you will. Well, because people are not all comfortable going out during COVID, we've shifted that now. So now we have an engagement team, and those are the people who are willing and interested and want to go out and meet face-to-face, have a cup of coffee, and try to connect them and build business relationships with them. We have a growth team that are people that are going to be contacting those that maybe who had dropped their membership in the past or potential new members. And we have a support team that's working the emails and kind of in the background. They're the ones that really don't want to go out and meet face-to-face right now. And so, and we have an advisory team now, and those are the folks that have been ambassadors. I have some ambassadors that have been in for over 20 years.
Wow.
And some of them are retired, so they're on the advisory team because we value them. And they're still engaged, but they're just not showing up at every single thing like they used to.
Right.
So we've shifted the whole culture of that really important team because of COVID and how people are responding to COVID and what they're comfortable, however they're comfortable in meeting with people.
Sure, because promoting the chamber and promoting your members is key,
right?
Especially if you're recruiting. Wow, the fact that you just were able to recruit 40 new members during this time of COVID is just incredible in and of itself. And I know it's not a gross number. I know several have dropped off, or as you mentioned earlier, either suspended or just closed down for whatever reason, no longer around. But still, Mary Ellen, that's extremely impressive, and that's why I would say I'm the first person that would say, well, what are you going to do for me during this time? We can't have these events. What am I? You're still going to get the same amount of money from me, whether it's COVID or non-COVID. I could sit this out and wait and keep the money in my pocket or in my account. But if I'm going to turn around and join your chamber, I've got to be able to get something out of it. And it sounds like you're able to very successfully at that keep them front and center. That's pretty wow. That's very impressive.
We've also established a social media team. So I have several professional photographers and a couple of videographers that belong here. And we came together, and what we're doing now is they're actually setting up studio time for the new members to make appointments so that they can either do a 1-minute video or a professional photograph, and we'll be featuring them on our social media and our newsletter. Our reach is about 11,000, So that's kind of a nice welcome to the chamber. And they can also use the video and the photo for their own purposes on their own website.
I'm just curious how your members, how are they able to, I guess, give back in order to support others?
Well, look at what that is. Those are folks that do this for a living, and they're donating their time.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the business community is stepping up. We're also part of an organization called IRCA, Eastern River Chambers of Commerce,
Okay.
and that's 4 chambers. That's our chamber, Greater Manchester, Towson County, and South Windsor Chamber. And we are doing something right now called Warming Hands, Warming Hearts, which we've done for 5 or 6 years, but we usually do it in January and collect coats and hats, and it's a great time where all these 4 chambers have a regional meeting, and members get to meet new folks from the other towns. This year, unfortunately, we couldn't do it together, and because not all the chamber offices are open all the time, and we're not encouraging visitors, we didn't really want to be collection points. So instead, this year, we're collecting gift cards, which many of the towns prefer that over the food or clothing this year. It's just easier for the towns to distribute and stay COVID compliant. So through Valentine's Day, we're collecting gift cards from grocery stores and clothing stores and restaurants that we're going to donate to our respective towns. And here we have our members purchasing from those members that need support, while the ultimate is giving it to the towns to give to those in need.
That is an excellent idea. We're speaking with Mary Ellen Dombrowski. She's the president of the Connecticut River Valley Chamber. Includes Marlborough, Glastonbury, and East Hartford. You are listening to Flashpoint Healthcare Solutions radio show with Steve Glick. I'm Gary Byron. Do you have maybe a sounding board where a forum or a Zoom meeting or something on FaceTime where your community can not just share ideas, but maybe even voice any concerns or questions? Well, what are some of the concerns that your businesses that you represent in your chamber have? Maybe we'll start with that.
Well, I think the biggest concern is being able to stay open.
Well, yeah.
Obviously, we don't want any kind of a rollback or further restrictions, and it's a double-edged sword. I mean, we're doing well compared to other states with keeping the numbers down, but there's a cost, though, because our businesses are really hurting. And you throw in a snow day like this week, you have restaurants and hair salons and those places that serve clients daily that lost a whole day of income.
Yeah.
On top of what is already going on. So we really we're encouraging the governor to not roll things back and to open things up as quickly as possible for the business community. I
think a lot of people, join you in that. Do you are you able to voice, maybe your opinions to your state legislators that represent the communities that your chamber represents?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yep.
No,
and to the governor. We've sent a letter off to the governor, and yes, we do. I mean, everybody's doing their best. People can judge what's going on. I look at it, this is uncharted territory for everyone, and we're doing our best. But I just hope and pray that the casualties ultimately are not the small businesses.
And you're right. See, I have those same concerns. I owned a small business for, a little over 30 years, and it's the mom and pop independent sole proprietorships that don't have the corporate structure of that franchisees have,
Right.
A lot of them have sunk their life savings in it. They've maxed out credit cards, and they're really, if they're in business now and they've got maybe one location, they're just hanging on by a thread.
Right.
Where do you see your chamber heading then into the future?
Well, I think it's going to be a whole different chamber. I don't think that we are going to be doing 6 humongous events annually anytime soon, maybe starting next year. So we are evolving into more of a service-oriented and advocacy, along with, of course, most of our income comes from the events, so that's not going to go away. But the philosophy has to change. I think the members' expectations in the culture, like I said, we are a convening chamber, so they want to be together. That's what we do best. And we've been able to manage that online, but people are anxious to get back together again. So it's going to change. And actually, like I said before, the attrition that took place here with the longtime staff worked out beautifully. And I'm leaving June 1st is my last day, and I think that's perfect because it's time for new vision and a new structure and moving forward in a different way as a business organization.
How long have you been the chamber president then?
I'm about 6 months shy of 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's next on your horizon?
I'm taking the summer off and spending it with my grandchildren, I hope, and then I'll do something else. I'm not sure what, but probably something a whole lot less responsible than this.
Good for you. If anybody, 15 years of doing anything is quite a number of times, a lot of times. So you'd be looking for a new executive director. Do you get to appoint that person, or are they voted on, or how does one determine the next executive director?
They actually have a search committee, and I'm on it.
Okay.
And it's probably going to go out Monday. They're going to put out an ad, and people will apply, and the search committee will interview and make a candidate selection and recommend it to the board of directors, and that's it.
Is it awkward or is it bittersweet for you? Because let's say, face it, 15 years, like I said, is pretty significant. It must be part of your life, you know?
It is. I love my job. I love the community. It has been just wonderful being here, and it's bittersweet, but I recognize that my season is up, and it's the timing again is right because it's going to be a different organization from what it was, and we need a new person to lead it into the next generation. But I will say it's a very solid foundation. We have extraordinary leadership, volunteers. We have a very flexible board that lets us take risks and that trusts us and lets us do things that give us opportunities to grow in new ways. And that I really believe that we are a strong organization because of the leadership. And it's just been a joy. It's been a joy.
I can get a sense from that in your voice, and you're right. It's going to be different going forward, not just post COVID, but with new leadership at the helm. In your absence, and while I agree that it's always good to get fresh faces and fresh ideas and a new vision and all of that. There's a reason why it's a success in the first place, and you wouldn't be there for 15 years unless you weren't doing something right. Go ahead, Steve.
Gary, I had the opportunity of participating over those 15 years, some special projects that Mary Ellen put together and participated. First, number one, I was surprised with what a wonderful community and her leadership and her concern. And I think she leads the community primarily because of her feeling of caring and empathy toward the community at large. So I will miss her. She's done some great things for me. I've had some interesting discussions with her membership and hope to continue our value proposition with her Chamber of Commerce because more than ever, our programs are that much important.
Look at that. Thank you so much, Mary Ellen Dombrowski, president of the Connecticut River Valley Chamber of Commerce. You can get in touch with the Chamber at
Chamber.
What is it?
Connecticut River Valley.
Oh, yeah, okay. CRV Chamber. CRV. Oh, well, exactly. The acronym. Connecticut River Valley. CRVChamber.org. And best of luck in your next chapter of your life.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the privilege of being on the show. And Steve, thank you for all you do for all the chambers statewide. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Steve, let's talk really briefly before we have to wrap things up on your relationship with the Connecticut River Valley Chamber.
Well, again, I'm an advisory service program benefits, Flashpoint healthcare benefits.
How long have they been involved with Flashpoint?
Oh God! Well, again, they've been involved with work that the CIT has done for at least 20 years.
Wow.
When we built the HSA program across the state, her community was really in depth with that. Now more than ever, we need to reassess and add some more of our new things and in the marketplace. Again, due to the COVID, we have not had the same opportunity. But I think before she leaves, I really need to add the value of our program and value proposition to the marketplace.
No.
But Mary Ellen, thank you for your opportunities and your service.
Yeah, it was. Mary Ellen's just done. It sounds like a spectacular job. And what an, to relinquish the reins of something that you've been at the helm at for quite a while. I mean, she's very upbeat, very positive about any new administration that will come in with their own vision and really basically build on the successes that she's already established for the chamber. And it's going to be different. As we talk to a lot of different chambers of commerce around our state, things are going to be different once this COVID kind of starts to subside, which we are hearing, I guess, for the most part, that it will coming this spring and summer. Folks, you have been listening to Flashpoint Healthcare Solutions radio show, of course, with Steve Glick, Chief Administrator for Chamber Insurance Trust. You can reach Steve Glick himself. He's got a toll-free number, very easy to get a hold of, by the way, 800-953-4467. Again, toll-free, 800-953-4467. If you are a member of a Chamber of Commerce, or maybe you are on the board of a Chamber of Commerce, or an executive director, or a marketing director, you need to look into Chamber Insurance Trust. It's very easy to do that. I would say before making the phone call, poke around their website at www.citrust.com. Once again, citrust.com. For Steve Glick with Chamber Insurance Trust, I'm Gary Byron. Thank you so much for listening to Flashpoint Healthcare Solutions radio show. Until next Saturday, have a good one, everybody. So long.